two of you to our Scout discussion forum. And for our discussion today, today's topics, we are discussing some of the issues of the constitutions, and we are looking at the constitutional gap. The heading for today is how are the constitutional gaps affecting the Uganda Scout associations. Before we go into the details discussions, let's take this time to introduce ourselves to the viewers. This is SSTV, the Scouts TV. And let me start from my left.
Alright, viewers, we thank you for this opportunity. I'm so glad that I've been given this opportunity to come to SSTV, the Scouts TV. I'm by the name Sevandeke Julius, a Scout leader, and I'm privileged that I've been given an opportunity to serve on the International Committee of Uganda Scouts. So I'm from Makindye, and I'm glad to be here to share my observations and my opinion about the Uganda Scouts Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, Julius. And on my right.
Thank you, viewers who are there outside there watching the SSTV, the only Scouts TV in Uganda. And my name is Gilbert Chilize, District Executive Commissioner, Kaunti Division, and at the same time the Regional Coordinator, Kampala Metropolitan. I'm happy to be here and to be given a chance by the management of SSTV to discuss the issue about the Uganda Scouts Constitution. And on this, I thank you, SSTV, and dear moderator, thank you for your invitation.
Thank you. And Eric Osborne Obua is my name, and I'm the OS. Straight to the topics for today, we are talking about the constitutions, and we are in 2023. A lot has been going on in the Uganda Scout associations. We have the constitutions in play. What is your take on the constitutions? Is our constitution become a scrap? Has it become outdated? What is your view on this as we start this discussion?
Okay, to me, I'll first ask you the question. Do you think Uganda Scouts Association members still follow their constitution? If you could look to what is happening, you may find that 100%, on 100%, the member of Uganda Scout Association no longer follow the constitution. At least, if you could look critically, you may find that by the time of the constitution, I remember when you could look at our constitution, it started in, I think, in 2003. That's when the Wazom approved it. But you may find that things have been going on, transforming from one thing to another. And you may look at now, we have how many SCCs? You may find you have, I don't know whether they are 20, but what is in the constitution? The constitution says 9 SCCs. So you may find that we as leaders of the association, we are no longer following the constitution what it says. So the document may not be bad or may not be scrap, but we who are supposed to follow that constitution, we may not be doing the work. You may find another thing that in our constitution, the power, the sharing of power, offices, are we still doing the same? Are these organs we have in place, are they still sharing the same power? I last when I was on a platform, we had a debate about the work of any National Scouts Board and the National Scouts Council. We find there is an article which says the National Scouts Board will work on behalf of the council. But you may find that members, after reaching there and they find that this article doesn't favor them, they say, if you are working on my behalf, you have to wait again for me. And remember, the council sits once a year. And yet the NSB, or the National Scouts Board, has to sit at least quarterly. So you may find that we read it where you find it is favoring you, that's where you are getting it. But when you find that there is somewhere where it doesn't favor you, then you come out of it. So I may refer it to as with the Bible reader, when you find that where that Jesus is, oh, God tells you, I'm going to give you good things, that's where you read. But when you find where they are condemning you, you distance yourself from such verses.
Okay, Julius, I'll come back to you with the questions. But let me first hear Gilbert's view. Gilbert, we have the constitutions, and my question is: has the constitution become as live its usefulness, or it has become a scrap? What is your take on this? On the constitution of Uganda's constitutions as it stands as of now?
Thank you, moderator. I want to comment, I want to go with Julius. The question he asked. Are we still as Scouts following the Scout constitution, or we are not in Uganda today? The Scouts constitution is clear. It's not a framework. It's not a scrap. But we Scouts, we are the one who have made it to be a scrap. Mr. Moderator, when you go to our constitution, shows you the way how people comes into the office. But when you reach the recent where we used to attend the councils, instead of electing using the ballot box, you are using presentation. These are your leaders, we have just finished. Who is neglecting the constitution? Is our leaders whom we trusted in those offices. And they have made our constitution the best scrap when it is not.
Now, where is the gap? Is the gap with the constitutions? Is the gap with the people? Is the gap with the implementers? Where is the gap?
The gap is with implementers. Because the people whom you gave the power, we are Scouts whom we gave the power to lead us, to help us and implement that constitution. They are neglecting it. Why? For today, someone will awake and say, I'm this. In Uganda Scouts, since I'm a Scout, I'm supposed to do this. But it's not written anyway. When you read the constitution, it's saying otherwise. Look at, we are in a constitutional crisis this time, where we don't have a chief commissioner. The chief commissioner has resigned. We don't have a deputy chief commissioner, because the council used its power for it for the constitution and used its power to throw some people outside because of what they did out of the constitution. But now, people, they don't want to follow the constitution, either they are ignorant of the constitution, and they are leaders in the Scouts, in the association. It's our time to make our constitution to work, or either review it. Where there is a gap, we fill that gap. As Scouts, we have that power, and we have to implement it. Implementers whom we gave the office to help us. If they fail, we have to show them the way. And I request that dear viewers, if you are a Scout there, you need to get a copy of Uganda Scouts. Have interest on acquiring one, so as you understand those gaps there. How our people have gone very far from it. Moderator, today when you read this constitution, gives you the way how you get a chief commissioner. But when you look at the way how people want to be a chief commissioner, they are against even their norms.
We shall come to that. Let's get back to Julius. Julius, in your submissions, you are saying the gap is not with the constitutions. The gap is with the people. Of recent, we have a list of people proposed to be in the review commissions. Do you think there's need for the amendment of the constitutions? Do you think there's need for the review of the constitution as per your submissions?
As per my submission, I could say there is some need, because the constitution of Uganda Scout is somehow detailed. Because they thought, I think those who were making the constitution, they thought, I'm just giving assumption, maybe they thought that people who are going to utilize the constitutions are scouts. But challenging, we have found out that we have those who just, who are businessmen in Scout. So, you may find that they have not followed the norms or the ways of scouting. I can give you an example. This example comes to the way the leadership. Remember, long time ago, someone to be a district commissioner, you had to have a wood badge. Maybe some people they don't want to hear it, but you had to have a wood badge. And I recently, when I was on our national platform, when I was giving some submission, I said, who forced me to go for a wood badge? I wanted to be a troop leader. Just to be a troop leader. I wanted to form up a group of scouts in Kampala, but those who were in Kampala said, they told me, for you to form up a scout group, you have to be a leader.
Okay, before we go there, do you believe there's a gap in the constitutions that needs a review, that the all needs amendment?
My submission was that the constitution we have, it may not be having gaps, but the challenge, it is detailed. Because they were thinking, the people who are going to be using it, they are fully scouts. But you may find that the reason why we may need some amendment is that we have those who have just entered into the scouting. So they may not have the moral values of scouts, which means that we have to simplify this constitution through this amendment, and we break down all the details. Instead of making it as it is, now they need to break it down. That when we need this person, when we are meaning at least someone of this caliber and this caliber, he has to have this and this. I can give you an example. In a church, how can you, in a Roman, let me give you the Roman Catholic, which I know more. Could you be a pope when you don't have when you don't have like their theology or their trainings? Mr. Moderator, do you think you can? Definitely no. How could you tell me that you are going to be a leader, and you know what means to be a leader? In scouting, to be a leader, you have to undergo a Woodbury training, and you're telling me you're going to be a leader, or the leader of bishops when you don't know their theology? That's definitely no.
Okay, how is that gap? We are talking about the constitutional gap affecting the USA operations. How are the gaps you're talking about affecting the scout associations?
Now that gap will bring like businessmen, I once again said. So these businessmen, you find that someone comes to the assets of scouts, misusing them because of his personal interests.
So we are reviewing our constitutions to fit in the businessmen, but we're not reviewing for the sake of the scouts.
We are reviewing the constitution to start now, instead of thinking the majority that those who are going to for this constitution were scouts. We are now breaking it that even if you're a businessman and you come into this, you may find that there is ties which will prevent you to do your business, and at the end result to chase yourself.
Okay. I shall get back to you. Gilbert, in your view, are there gaps in the constitutions that needs to be amended? Are there gaps that needs to be filled? What is your take?
Automatically, for me, when I look at our constitution today, the gaps are there.
The gaps are there.
For example, you know very well I was affected by this when they suspended me. I had it stuck on my head and I read it through the constitution.
So what are some of the gaps?
Unfortunately, I did not get, when I go to another constitution, that once it was given to me by the NEC, it was showing it.
How many constitutions do you guys have?
Mr. Moderator, you might not be aware one day I will bring a constitution and you check, you compare with ours. We have two constitutions which are working under the Uganda Scouts Association. And many of the scouts are not aware. I went through in this constitution and compared when they suspend you, when something has affected you, you get interest.
Who came up with that constitution?
I'm not aware.
How did you get it?
But someone who gave it to me was
Is
the
it POR?
head of
I
secretariat.
think there is a POR.
Are we talking about
It is not a
POR?
PRO, it is a constitution, Uganda State's constitution. And I compared
Were
it
approved
with
by the WOZO?
which it was not approved. And it has been used to open some accounts. I said, look, why do we have this constitution which is talking about disciplinary committee? And again we have the constitution which is not talking about the disciplinary committee. And I went to the office of the chief commissioner and I showed him these are two constitutions. Who was supposed to head the disciplinary committee of the Uganda Scout Association? How is it supposed to come in place? Then I read it through the chief scout arbitration court.
Julius, you sit at the headquarters. Have you ever seen a copy of these constitutions?
For me, what I could say is that they were just trying to do some draft. But if something wasn't approved by the WOZO, then this is not a constitution yet. But what we have, they're just misusing it.
I think Mr. Moderator, yes, Julius has been there at the headquarters, for so long. I found him there. But for me, I happened to have to learn on this constitution when I was opening the account of my group.
The question is, who gave you that?
And that one who gave me the late Okello Richard.
Do you have a copy
Who
of
was
that?
the
Do
name?
you have a copy of that?
I've tried to look for it, but one day I will bring it here. Very soon we'll get a copy for it.
Can we have it in the next discussion?
Yes, you will have it, because I have the copy.
We shall go for a short break, then we come back after a commercial break.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome back from our commercial break. Before we break for, we were on the issue of the constitutions. That's copy of the constitutions. Mr. Gilbert, you are the coordinator of the Kampala Metropolitans, and we expect to see that constitutions. Julius, I was saying you sit at the headquarters. How comes that you're not in positions to access this copy of the constitutions? Do you sit in the corridor of the headquarters or you are in the kitchen of the headquarters?
I remember by the time because I would appreciate, I had a colleague who took me there. It was called Serwanga Patrick. Serwanga Patrick did a big role to take me there. I remember by the time we had scouting of that time, we were so lovely. You could even pull your fellow scout to a certain position. I remember by the time I left that office, I left Jonah. I think that was 2016. But what I know, there was some amendments which were not put into practice. But you never know, someone may have reached them, but they had amendments which were supposed to be put into practice. But remember, something to be constitution in Uganda Scouts, it has to be approved by the WOZO. So if something wasn't approved by the WOZO, that means that wasn't a constitution. And I think another thing, what changed our mind and we forget even our constitution is the POR. People utilize the POR than the constitution. Do you know that in POR says that a chief commissioner has to spend 5 years in the office? Yet the constitution says how many years? 4 years. So now the two documents are contradicting each other. So now which document are you supposed to follow?
What is a POR made of?
The POR, I think the people who brought in POR, they had their personal interests.
How is the POR made?
To my understanding, I think they had to follow the constitution. But I think it was in 2011 they came up with a document called POR and they established it. And it shadowed the Constitution.
A POR and a constitution, which one is the supreme?
To my understanding, is the Constitution. But it depends on leadership. Someone may utilize the POR.
In your view, which one is the supreme?
The Constitution has to be the supreme.
Gilbert,
To me.
a POR and a constitution, which one is the supreme?
Our constitution is a supreme because it's the sole document that governs the association, and the PRO is drafted from the constitution.
Were the people drafting the POR conversant with the constitutions by that time?
I don't think so. Because maybe they had their amendments. They had the other constitution which we were trying to amend, which improves the term limits. But when it hasn't been approved, it was totally dangerous to confirm this. So when you read the two documents, they are totally contradicting each other. And that's the reason why we have these errors, and everyone is putting these errors back to the Constitution. And they forget that we have the POR, which I think the main cause of every natural problem we have in scouting is the POR, not the Constitution.
We are discussing the constitutional gap. Few days ago, we saw a letter detailing the requirement for the chief commissioner, and out of the requirements, we are seeing the good badge is brought into the requirements. What does the Constitution say? Is that a gap in the constitutions? Where does the designer of the requirements get their guidance from?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator.
Let's hear from Julius first before we come to Julia. Where does the designer of the requirements get their guidance from? Because if the constitutions give us how we can get the chief commissioner, and the person designing the requirements comes with the wants to be done, where does the person get his guidance from? Is that the gap in the constitution that we need to, is the constitution missing something that is very important and we are beginning to implement without the constitutions? What is your take?
My take is the Constitution of Uganda Scout, as I told you, it was detailed to scouts. And if you could go back into scouting or into the scouts we used to have, they saw us. Even one day I was serving, he saw a phone. He asked me, "Are you a well-trained scout leader?" I said, "Mr. Yusuf, I haven't gone for university." He said, "To serve me, you have to go to the university." So, to my understanding, people were making the constitution and the guideline they put up, they were thinking, who is supposed to be a scout? They were looking to who's supposed to be a scout. And this constitution is for the scouts, isn't it? So who's supposed to be a scout? And who's supposed to be a leader? And what are you supposed to bear as a leader? So they never detailed you the qualities of a leader. But they thought that the constitution would work for the scouts. So, my moderator, who's supposed to be a leader to you understanding, a scout leader? I'm sorry to ask you, but who's supposed to be a scout leader?
Someone with a wood badge.
Wood badge, well. Now, how could you lead the bishops or the leaders without a wood badge?
My question is that a gap in the constitutions, and is that the reason why we are implementing it without the provision of the constitutions?
I'm trying to answer you back. Is that the people who amended who made this constitution, they were making it for the scouts. But right now, if we have reached this generation whereby everyone wants to be a leader in scouting, I think they have to go back to the drawing board and they start breaking down everything. Not thinking in the other capacity, or thinking that everyone who is going to utilize the constitution will be a leader. For me, even to sit on the council of the scouts, we are seeing everyone who was used to go in the council of the scouts with the bids. But now you have the DC who just started the BTC or ITC is the DC. So which means now there is a looseness in the scout norms or scout qualities which we are following by that time.
Okay, before I come to Gilbert, does having a wood badge makes you a better chief commissioner than the person without a wood badge?
I may ask you, I may say it in this category, I may answer it in this way. It may not qualify you, but wood badge is just part of the. Why are we sensitizing, or why are we just clicked on wood badge? You know why people, they just want wood badge only? They circle the wood badge, all the qualifications. It is one. Many of the scouts, we call them scout leaders, they are not trained with the wood badge. But I may answer it in this way. Jesus was on cross, he had he had 2 fifths. He was the third. So 1/5 was told you we are going to enter into heaven without being baptized. But that doesn't mean that a Christian has not got to be baptized. So a leader, to be called a scout leader or a leader, you have to go to have a wood badge. Now this is the chief commissioner is going to be chairing leaders, but for him he doesn't have wood badge. And that's the challenge we have now, and that's the reason why we are facing this crisis. One, we have faced this crisis of land grabbing. Secondly, the leadership of Uganda Scout has declined. You may find someone to even you can answer back to the chief commissioner or to the NEC anyhow.
Let me hear from Gilbert. We are saying, we are seeing the requirements of the chief commissioner, saying one must have a wood badge. The constitution is silent. Why are we forcing what is not in the constitution to implement what is not in the constitution? Are we implementing the right thing, or we are implementing what we think is right? What are we supposed to implement?
Mr. Moderator, when you read through our constitution, it is not giving that provision of the wood badge. As my next discusser said, that they were doing this, the people who made this constitution, we are doing it for the scouts. But they saw that every scout will do what? Will follow this constitution. And they forgot that provision. And that's why we say, now we are discussing about gaps in the constitution of the Uganda Scout Association. That gap is there. If they miss it here, in Uganda constitution, we have the constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Then we have the Penal Code Act. Can you compare the two? If the constitution of Uganda say the thief will be like this, or the corrupt official will be this, then the penal code will bring also the punishments. We'll explain more about what they discussed about in there. So our PRO, that's how it has gone on to conflict with the constitution. I got someone who said, when I was at the headquarters at the PRO, they were demanding just a PRO. And me and Okero, we sat, we drafted that thing.
The two of you sat and drafted?
Yes, and the other one, the person who was telling me, is a scout. We sent that document and now it is causing problems.
So the two people sat
sat and drafted the PRO
on behalf of
and they presented it and said this one is going to
on behalf of a million scouts.
Yes.
Two people sat.
Sat and brought
Was that the
document.
right?
And now the document is becoming a problem to Uganda Scouts Association.
I'll give you I can have on this view. Just a moment. It's the same cause that WhatsApp group has become the council. So everything is discussed on WhatsApp and it is implemented. And we forgot that there are thousands of scouts who are not on this WhatsApp group.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the gap in the constitution of our association is tracked at the minimum qualification of the people or the scouts. All of us, we are scouts. But there are those who aim at getting the leadership. taking leadership in a position.
Now, when there's a gap,